After that, they move on to, Suta Goswami moves on to speaking about universal form. So why, from listing all the incarnations and speaking about Krishna, they're directly jumping into universal form, discussing about universal form, is because there can be a natural question. Okay, why is the universal form not included in the list of the incarnations? It could be a natural question that some of these sages might have. So that is why Suta Goswami is guessing that, like, he's reading the pulse of the audience and straight gets into this topic of Virat form. And he says that the conception of the Virat form of the Lord as appearing in the material world, it is basically an imagination, and it is mainly for the less intelligent to adjust to the idea of Lord having a form. Because currently in their consciousness, it's very difficult for them to think that even in the spiritual Lord, the Lord who is spiritual, like basically for them form is material. They don't they cannot conceive like how can there be a spiritual form. So they are having a personal difficulty to adjust to that idea. And in their understanding, the supreme also is unlimited. For them, the idea of unlimited is very much related to space. They are not thinking unlimited is in terms of the potency. For them, unlimited means it's just in terms of space. So it should be unlimited space. What if the Lord appears as a small baby? So the form seems limited. So it's very difficult for them to relate to a small little form as a unlimited form. And that is why they can actually start using this universal form in order to get accustomed to gradually get purified. And we will see some of the questions I have listed down in one of the slides, and we can take those questions. And if there are any more, we can go there. Let's see the verses in order, and then we can get to the questions. And to explain this further, that how this conception is working, that Suta Goswami is giving this example that sometimes we say that sky is cloudy or the air is dirty. However, the sky is not covered by the clouds. Rather, our eyes are covering the sky. Our eyes are covered by the clouds from seeing the sky. So similarly, it's we are seeing the dirt, but it's not the air has become dirty. So we superimpose things. So he's giving that as an example to see that how we also think we are this physical body, or sometimes we think we are the subtle body, even though we are the spirit soul. So we superimpose. The soul is currently identifying with the gross body, so it thinks it's the gross body. Similarly, less intelligent people may begin to understand the Lord by identifying the Lord with the material manifestation, the gross universe that they are able to see with their eyes. And there is also a subtle form for this universal form also. So they may either I understand both through their meditation or through what they see. However, either of them is not true, because the Supreme Lord has an independent form other than these universal form, Virat conceptions and the Virat form. So whenever a person experiences, when they become self-realized, then they will know how they are not this body, they are the spirit soul. Similarly, they will also able to understand the spiritual form of the Lord eventually. It says, if the illusory energy subsides through their spiritual practice, then the jiva can become actually develop the knowledge by the grace of the Lord. They can actually understand the glory of the Supreme Lord's spiritual form. So for that, there is a grace of the Lord is also required. They may endeavor, but eventually, by the grace of the Lord, they can understand the supremacy of the spiritual form of the Lord. And that grace also comes through association of devotees. And in that way, gradually, one can understand that how the Supreme Lord can have a spiritual form does not mean always material. Form does not mean it should be limited. Form can also be spiritual form. So for us, because we have heard from Srila Prabhupada for such a long time, this seems like a common understanding. This seems like an easy understanding. And what is the problem in this? Why not? What's the difficulty in this? We may think like that. However, for someone who has not had that kind of an association of devotee, then it short circuits their brain, because for them the understanding of unlimitedness means unlimited form means there cannot be there cannot be any structure. If you put the unlimitedness into a form, it gets limited according to them. But what Krishna is, like, he is inconceivable. That part they are missing it, that he is also unlimited in terms of potency. That means he can manifest his unlimited potency in a apparently limited form. So based on these verses, say we can, before I get into this, these are the questions that we can discuss. Some that I could think of. If there are more, we can take that. So the general question is, okay, what is the universal form? The universal form that Suta Goswami in these verses speaking about are an imagined form or a conceptual tool, and it's imaginary. So then somebody may ask, what is the difference between the universal form that is spoken in this chapter and the universal form shown by Krishna to Arjuna? So they are different. That one is a revelation that Krishna is showing to Arjuna that how he is all pervasive within this universe. And Krishna has shown such universal form to Mother Yashoda. Within his mouth, he showed all the universes for Mother Yashoda, not once, twice. And he showed universal form to Rishi in Mahabharata. And he also showed universal form to Duryodhana and the courtiers in the before the war. So they all have different descriptions because Krishna is unlimited. So there are various aspects of the universal form, and Arjuna himself sees multiple universal forms within the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So in that way, one is a revelation. When Krishna shows how he is manifesting, it is not imagination, it is real, but it is temporary because all matter comes from Krishna. So, in one sense, there is nothing material because everything comes from Krishna. So, matter is also Krishna's energy. He says it is his own energy. So, in that sense, it is all coming from Krishna. So, for Krishna to show himself in that form is nothing out of the ordinary. If he wants, he can reveal to us how he is seeing, how he can be seen through that. It is real, but it is temporarily manifested. Like the material world is sometimes manifested, sometimes unmanifested. So this form is manifested and unmanifested. However, these verses, what Sutta Goswami is speaking, is basically a tool for those yogis who are still in progress, for them to actually meditate on the Lord. They don't like a personal form, rasa, and all those things. So it's very easy for them to relate to the Supreme through the universal form. So that kind of a meditation is superimposed. It's not that Garbhodakshai Vishnu has his knees as the Patala Loka, as I'm just giving an example. I may not exactly correlate as Patala Loka as his feet or Tala Loka as his thighs or anything like that. There is no form that exists like that. So is the universal form real? Again, the conception, the conceptual tool, it is imaginary. But when Krishna shows it, it is real, but it is temporary. He can take it back. And what is the need for the universal form mentioned in this chapter? Basically, to guide people who cannot relate to the spiritual forms of the Lord. And how is the universal form different from the deity form, which is also made up of material elements? Okay. So the deity form is made up of matter, and then there is prana, and then it is carved in a particular form which is already revealed, which exists eternally in a spiritual planet. But the universal form does not have a spiritual planet or anything like that. And there is no form where it is not that Krishna has a spiritual form and then he manifests the universal form and then he enters into it. There is nothing like that. Whereas we see the deity form is made and then the prana pratishtha is done, and then he is considered non-different from the Lord. But we don't see that the universal form is not any kind of that form where it is created and then he enters and makes it into non-different from him or anything like that. So when it is revealed, it's a real form that he shows how he is pervading all the matter. So that's what he is manifesting, but it is temporary. And Srila Prabhupada does say, if you see chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita, verse 5, in the purport, he says that this is a transcendental form. He says the universal form that Krishna is showing is a transcendental form, but it is temporary. It's shown for a while and taken away after. So it's real. Krishna is transcendental, even if he manifests within the matter. In that sense, it is not like the deity form, because the deity forms are carved after a authorized form of the Lord, which exists in the spiritual world. And initially, it is created and then the deity is installed. But the universal form is nothing like that. It's either it is Krishna's revelation or it is an imaginary tool for meditation. So these are some things that I can think of. If you have more questions, please. Yes, Sundar Gopal Prabhu.
So, Prabhu, here's a interesting intellectual challenge that I have with this universal form that is just a meditation tool. Because, for example, right now we can say that, okay, Krishna is real. Just a simple example. I'll try to come with a simple analogy. like Krishna is real, but right now I don't have the capacity to understand Krishna. I have to practice, I have to go through years of practice, austerity, whatever, right? Like I have to perform all the required procedures so that one day I can understand Krishna the way he is. So Krishna is the way he is, just that right now I don't have the capacity to understand him and I have to work my way towards understanding Krishna. That is different from saying that, okay, here's this meditation tool, which is not even real. So let's get people to start focusing on this form for now, so that as they advance, they'll even realize that even that, what they were given in the beginning, did not even exist to begin with. And now they have to completely swing in a different direction to understand a completely different aspect of God. You see the difference?
Yeah, I see where
Start,
the
start,
understanding
you start
changes.
sending people in a direction which doesn't even exist for now, so that when they advance, they'll realize that what we were giving them in the beginning never even existed. And now there's this completely different form of the Lord. Like for me, you start sending them in one direction and then swing them the other direction after they advance. Versus like when we give this example of the deity, right? Even right now, I don't have complete faith that this deity form is Krishna. But as you advance, we see that so many advanced souls, they had that personal relationship with the deity. It's not that as they advanced, they rejected the deity altogether.
Yes.
Whereas with this meditation tool, you'll get them focused for now, only to realize that they were focusing on is not even real. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. If we read the second canto, it becomes very clear. A clear context is given why they are given that conceptual tool. Because this yogi has material desires, and material desire means I look at something as independent from the Lord and I want to enjoy it. So, that conceptual tool, why it is given is to make the yogi realize that whatever you are trying to enjoy is all actually situated in the Lord. It belongs to the Lord. So to purify that enjoying tendency, this kind of a tool is given. So we are not discussing in elaborately like what they actually give. We are just trying to describe in one or few sentences their whole practice, lifetimes of practice. So we're not getting into the nitty gritty. So it might look like we are sending them in one direction and then they have to take a different direction. Rather, actually, there is a whole framework which we will see in the Canto 2 multiple times. There are three universal forms explained in Canto 2. And then again, we will see one in Canto 3, one in Canto 4. So for the initial cantos, we will see again universal form. And the multiple reasons for multiple times they are explained in Canto 2 is again various reasons we will see when we come across. But to answer your question, like why are we giving a form that does not exist, apparently sending them in one direction, and then eventually they will realize that there is a complete spiritual form, is that at least they come to accept that the Supreme Lord exists, right? Through this form. So it's just the composition of the form is material, but the understanding, apparent agreement that yes, form exists, even the supreme exists and the form exists, they are at least agreeing to that. And eventually they will, through purification, through when their enjoying tendency goes away, then gradually they can come to understand, oh, the Lord exists and the form exists, but it is not material as I thought. Does that make sense? It's not going completely in a different direction in that sense.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Prabhu,
Yes.
sorry for interrupting you in between.
Yes.
However, just to add to that particular point, isn't it such that Lord is fully free and competent to show, according to time, place, and circumstance, whatever form that he likes to
Mhm.
whoever he wishes to?
Yes.
I feel that it adds to the understanding
Mhm.
that whether the universal form is real or not, or whether was it just to show or explain a certain concept to different people at different times, seems relevant to me. That is how I take it.
Yeah. That's true. However, the clear difference is one is a complete tool. It's an imaginary tool. It does not even exist. But other is a real revelation. And if Krishna wants, as he said, he can show any form to anybody. That is, of course, there. But we are trying to see this particular universal form and the universal form because both use the same terminology, Virat Rupa. So many people think, how is it different? Is what Krishna showed is also unreal or imaginary? It's not that Arjuna was seeing a illusion or something like that. Arjuna was really having a vision, but it just is temporarily manifested and it goes away otherwise. So that's another thing that we are trying to focus. Of course, as you said, Krishna can show any form to anyone at any time. Yes. Thank you, bro. I do see two more hands raised. Chinmay and then who else? And then Chinmay.
Thank you so
Hare
much
Krishna.
for the patient class. So I posted my question in the chat. So this Laghu
Yes.
Bhagavatam. So this is the basis for this is the revelations to Rupa Goswami or the
Yes.
things of
Yes.
whom?
To also Sanatan Goswami, also to some extent, but primarily Rupa Goswami.
So it's what should we consider? It's a teachings based on teachings of
Yes.
and then further
If you read the 20th chapter of it's their conversation that Prabhu
correct,
is saying everything to Rupa Goswami as Krishna Goswami is noting it down. And
correct,
then I think he is elaborating it on and making it into a whole category of topic and then writing a whole book, bringing in
correct,
all the relevant quotations from different scriptures and making a case and like that. But the initial understanding seems to be given by Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami.
correct.
And that
So
itself
because
is elaborate, like it's quite elaborate.
yeah, because this is the unique thing of which doesn't exist anywhere, and then the source for it is we accept the authority of Chaitanya.
Mahaprabhu, yeah.
Okay.
Rupa Goswami tries to support it from various other Puranas and other things.
Oh, okay.
However, say for example, even he does support a lot for everything that he says. He supports from the Puranas, but the Puranas themselves are not giving the structure. They are saying on the goal. Say there are places where it said why Lord Shiva is meditating on Sankarshan because he is considered as the source of him. So he quotes this as an example to show that how Sadashiva expands from Sankarshanji like that. So he pulls up things from various places with which doesn't exactly go in this order or reveal the whole structure otherwise. But he does quote from various authorized sources to make the point of various reasons.
Okay.
Of various levels.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Since now I have the chat open, can we have one question? Okay. Okay. I'm not doing management. I'm like, yeah. And is there anybody else?
This was quite a difficult topic for me. I think I lost track some time ago while we were going through, but just pondering upon this entire session, I feel so amazed and it wonders me what painstaking research effort would have been taken up by the Goswamis and all the successive acharyas to establish this as a authoritative bona fide Bhagavad Dharma.
Yes.
In every detail and in every nuances, how amazing this feat would have been.
Yeah. Yeah, especially the Goswamis, Rupa Goswami, it's mind blowing. Even to read Laghu Bhagavatamrita after a while, it feels like tiring. Okay, I accept Krishna as the source. Let me leave me. I cannot understand this. Many times I would just gloss over, okay, fine, I accept it. Let me just go over it. But they actually goes through all kinds of Puran. That Puran, for one statement, he would just give 10 references. I'm like, okay, I have faith in you, leave me alone. But like the whole book is just this chart pretty much goes extensive. And if you also understand, we have like today technology and electronic media where we could just Google a PDF, like search a PDF and then find where the reference is. But for them to actually find various Puranas and go to that verse and quote there, like it's not very easy. They probably quoted from hundreds of sources. And to sit in Vrindavan and find those and collect those resources and then quote that particular thing, which is somewhere in one corner of Bhagavatam, one corner of Vishnu Dharmottara Puran, one corner of Padma Puran, Skanda Puran, here, there, to go to that place and to know so much. It's personally Krishna's empowerment. It's crazy actually how they do it. Jiva Goswami also, how he churns Bhagavatam to bring in support for every argument that he makes in the Sandarbhas is also very amazing. And as Prabhu said, he uses this list and he says this list cannot be overlooked. Even though it's only coming once in the beginning, he says, yeah, the main argument will come only once. You can expect the same argument come throughout the book. This is the main thing. This is the main principle, and it is stated, and the rest of the book supports that statement. So he goes on. I just put it in one verse, but he writes a whole section in the Krishna Sandarbha about that verse, one point. The whole Krishna Sandarbha is on that one Etecham.
Amazing.
Yeah, they have painstakingly done so much, and it's sometimes even difficult to grasp. I remember taking up Sattva and I'm like, after a few days, I put it down. This is not for me. I believe that Bhagavatam is the supreme. I accept it. Leave me alone. It just was so beyond me. Unless if someone teaches, probably I could grasp some of it. But the ability of Jiva Goswami is like mind blowing. Hare Krishna. Thank you. And
Thank
it
you.
seems like there is a funny question coming our way.
But Prabhu, only after all the intelligent questions are done.
Okay, Haricharan Prabhu and Mother Gail. And we have 15 more minutes. 10:30, I'm signing off.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for presenting all this. So on this universal form one more time. So we are calling temporary and imaginary. It's temporary because the universe is temporary, right? Like it
Yes.
comes out and goes back again.
Yes. Yes.
And then we are calling it imaginary because there is no such form existed, and Lord shows either like the planets or either like the Vaya Sutras, like that, right? Like in different things, right? In different universal forms. So
I think I got the question, Prabhu.
yeah.
So again, they both are completely different. What Krishna shows to Arjuna is a real form, but it is manifested temporarily, like the material world. It is a real world. You and me are real. The experience we are having real, but it is temporary.
That's
After
correct.
a while, it changes.
Yeah.
So the form that Krishna shows to Arjuna is a real form, because Krishna actually is all pervading within matter. So whatever he showed is real, but it is temporary, like the material world. However, the one we are speaking in this particular chapter of Bhagavatam is not a shown form. It's a tool to, like, I'll give you a sheet of paper where I'll write, you sit there, close your eyes, think the face of the Lord is this planet, the thighs of the Lord. So you are trying to imagine something in your head.
Yeah, that's where my confusion is, right? Like when you say sometimes real and like the two terms are a little bit conflicting, real and versus imaginary. So like when you say real, that means that form.
Krishna showed it to Arjuna and
Correct.
Arjuna saw it.
So even imaginary forms also, right? Oh, that means imaginary forms are not shown to anybody?
Yeah, your dream, you're seeing something that is little bit imagined, right? If I see a golden mountain in my dream.
But that means those are revealed to somebody, right? See, even though it is imagined, no, not revealed.
No, it is not revealed. That's what we are trying to say. This particular thing we are discussing is not a revealed form. It's like a given as a tool, as you sit and then you close your eyes and then you see the particular Patala Loka is existing in the waist of the Lord, or others are existing as the thighs of the Lord, and or the belly of the Lord, and the Shudras are like the feet of the Lord. It's a kind of a tool to sit there and meditate. It's not revealed like that to anybody.
So that means one is, so the imaginary forms means like that is mentioned in the Shastra, but not actually shown by Krishna. That's what.
Yes, perfect,
Okay, now got
perfect.
it.
It's mentioned as a tool. It's bona fide. It will have its effect, but there is nothing like that really exists.
Okay, because Krishna didn't show that.
Yeah, Krishna does not show that or anything like that.
Now
In reality, also, it does not exist.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it would have been helpful if I made more slides explain, like putting them aside in points. I thought, okay, the questions are there. I was lazy to make a slide.
No, Prabhu. You did a great job, actually. I don't know, like this much detail itself is overwhelming. If you put more, also it will be more. Actually, maybe asking questions is, I think everybody gets.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Yeah. Somehow we are all overwhelmed, but happy. Yeah. What is Mother Gail's question?
Hare Krishna. First of all, a comment. I think we should all ignore Sundarananda's vicious proposal. And then I do have a question. Another question, if you don't mind, Sundar. Yeah, going back to your conversation with Keshav Madhava, we were concluding that Krishna can reveal himself to anybody he likes. And I also understand that he reveals himself according to how I think I don't know, desire him or want to have a relationship with him or not want to have a relationship with him. Like when it comes to the yogis and the gyanis, what reason do you think he has for not revealing a universal form to them instead of having them use this conceptual tool? Why would he not give them some revelation instead of having them dream it up themselves?
It's like basically sadhana, right? Like in the Bhakti Yoga, why is Krishna not revealing to us directly prema? Why are we doing sadhana?
That's my question.
So that's what, like, So
Why don't you just show yourself, Krishna? Oh my God.
So, see, basically, Krishna cannot give love in our heart. It is a feeling that comes from our side for Krishna.
So his revelation, you're saying basically, therefore, is in proportion to the
To the
love we
amount of
have.
love we have and what we,
Yeah.
how we want to develop it. So he's giving us a process. Okay, if you do this, and he appears as the holy name, he appears as the deity, he appears as the Dham, he comes in the form of Bhagavatam, he sends devotees, he is facilitating that. But we have to take all that facilities and clean our own heart. He cannot do it for us because it is our emotions. We are responsible for our emotions and our feelings and thoughts and desires. So he cannot change our desires, but he can, if we are willing to change our desires, then even we need his help. Without that, we cannot change. So he offers all that help. He comes in various spiritual manifestations, comes himself, sends devotees, gives books, all kinds of things he is doing so that we can transform our heart. So
Okay.
the moment we have a desire, yes, I want to transform my heart, then he's willing to facilitate that.
And in this same vein, the reason you would say that he revealed himself in terms of the universal form to someone who had zero love for him, what?
Is to actually try to it was Krishna's love, because of the Pandavas, that he wanted to deter Duryodhan from fighting, and he also did not want the world to think that the Pandavas were warmongering. He wanted to prove to the world that despite doing everything within our efforts, Duryodhan was hell bent for this war.
And so his reason, you're saying, for showing the universal form to Duryodhan was to try to deter him
from entering into the war. He goes as a Shanti Duta, a peace messenger, and that's when he shows it.
He's showing to this is what will happen if you enter into this war.
Yeah, you see how great I am. I'm on the side of Arjuna, and this is what, you see what is the power. So something like that. He's trying to impress upon him, but he says, "Oh, I'll not fall for these tricks." He asks the soldiers to come and arrest Arjuna, and then he even shows a bigger form where everybody else is able to see that he is sending out flames and he's sending out very fearful things, and they all run away. So it's there in Mahabharata, some description, but it is slightly somewhat different from what he showed to Arjuna in the battlefield. And he had shown to Uttanga Rishi, that's slightly different. What he shows to Mother Yashoda is slightly different. But there are various reasons for which he is showing that.
Okay, thank you.
So the suggestion was more, you are of course independent and Swaraj. The suggestion was for all of us.
I'm usually a kind of, I shy away from management. I do agree. I think at some point we would have to rein in. And my hope is like from next chapter, we are not going to have this kind of technical sections. It's going to be like stories and past tense. So there it's going to go fast. There's going to be of course they can have questions, but they won't be able, there is not so much of complication in further chapters. This is one of the technical chapters, after which it's going to be all stories pretty much. There is not going to be much to drill me like this. And also if they are not like clarified, so then it's going to actually continue to bother them. Like universal form is going to come 3 times in second canto. If a basic idea comes here, so that time it could be much easier. And I'm also letting it flow, and it's a very important section. Etpum says the most important verse, so to give the time to actually flush it out can actually help them understand the rest of the Bhagavatam. Wherever that context comes, I can pull it easily when I invest now. So I am like, what do you call, I'm playing along so that I'll be benefited in the views. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Swal Prabhu, how many minutes? You have a few minutes?
You have time, Prabhu?
Yeah, 10:30 I would want to sign off because I have another class soon.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, that's amazing how well engaged and how many classes you give, Prabhu. Thank you so much for...
I only gave 2, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I had a very funny and scary thought yesterday because you know how we have these verses in the Gita, right? So Krishna says, I'm in your heart. He says that multiple places. So I always thought, okay, Krishna is in my heart. Then after getting enlightened by you with all these verses, I got a scary thought yesterday. I was like, oh, wait a minute. It's not Krishna in my heart. It is Shirodakshai Vishnu who's in my heart as Parma. So I don't have the 64 quality Krishna with me. I have the 60 quality Krishna with me. In this world, we're selfish. We don't settle for less.
Thakur writes, for a do, Krishna personally manifests in the heart. He replaces the Paramatma.
Oh, perfect, Prabhu. I never heard that before. Thank you so much.
I heard it. Vishwanath Thakur writes that as the devotee actually increases in his rasa, Krishna personally replaces him. He
Oh,
comes
amazing.
himself.
Perfect. Because I
Because
felt
based
like
on the rasa, he has to in the heart reveal it. So he comes according to the rasa. He personally manifests. He replaces Shiroda Krishna in the heart.
no, Prabhu, that's amazing because I felt like talking to my Paramatma. Can you just exchange with 64 Krishna because I don't want 60 quality Shiro Dakshai with me. But Prabhu, perfect. Thank you so much.
Hopefully, he does not punish you for that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. It feels more like a family. I'm spending time casually with all of you. So I'm very grateful for all of your time and giving me your association. And you also make me read. So that works. I do study because of all of you. So thank you. So see you in the next week, and we'll continue from verses 34, whatever we didn't see in the 30 to 34, and then we'll take on the rest of the verses. We are going to complete this chapter very soon, and probably we'll go fast in the next chapters. So thank you all. If there is anything that you want to clarify, you can either post it in the WhatsApp group or you can reach out to me. For the next week, you can read from verses 35 to 39 and even the rest of the chapter. Whatever verses are there in third chapter, read the purport. If there are any questions, you can let me know before, so I can answer it during the session. Already I can come prepared or make a slide, something like that if it is complicated. And yeah, see you next week.